I'm live. Alright, I won't know if anybody can see me, so you're going to have to run that. Oh, can everybody see me? Can they see me on this one? That's okay. Yep. Can everybody hear me? My daughter is running the camera. I've got the external mic on. If you can't hear me, shout out, say, hey, we can't hear you. And then we'll go to plan B. But I'm trying the mic because the propane forge is running, so. Are we getting any comments that they're hearing me?
Howdy, hear and see ya.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So, welcome, everyone. My daughter's going to be reading off questions as they come in, and I'm just going to be trying to finish up this claw hammer that I've been working on. James at County Line Forge is the hammer expert. I'm sort of making this up as I go along, but I'm going to try it and see what we get. I did most of it yesterday. There will actually be a video coming out where I did a review on this guillotine tool, this G2, and I started forging this hammer, and then I ran out of propane, so I'm just gonna like try to finish it up. I gotta draw out the rest of the claw and then split it. I don't know what chisel I'm gonna use for that, but so, and then I'm probably gonna try shutting the propane forge off. No, I can't. I could shut it off while I'm smacking, but that's not going to do any good while I'm trying to answer questions. Okay, never mind. I had a plan. It's not going to work. So, if you got any questions, forging it forward questions, simple blacksmith questions that I can answer, I'll be glad to. Or anything like that. Oh, and welcome to do we have Instagram people? Does it tell you how many people are watching?
Maybe?
If anyone's watching. If you're watching on Instagram, hi. I normally don't do a whole lot.
Oh, look, it does say somebody's watching.
Yeah, one person's watching on Instagram. Yay! I really don't have that much further to go. I was sort of bummed out that I ran out of propane yesterday because I was so dang close to getting this done. And having never made a claw hammer, I've only got some vague ideas of what I'm doing here with the claw part, but I think basically I just need to draw it out maybe another ½ inch and then split it, and it should be just about where I need it. So we'll see. All right, so do we have any questions on the Facebooks or the Instagrams?
Not yet.
Facebooks, on the YouTubes or the Instagrams?
Not yet.
See, you don't even know. You're not even watching.
I'm watching!
How many people are watching on YouTube?
25.
25. All right. They're probably loaded up with questions.
They're not.
You know how to...
I know how to read,
all right.
Dad.
Dang teenagers.
I'm not even a teenager.
You're a teenager until you're 26. Have I ever told everyone my theory on teenagerness? It has nothing to do with forging, but 26 is the youngest you can grow out of teenagerness. I myself didn't grow out of it until I was 32, which I think is about the average.
Does claw need heat treated or no?
What's that?
Does the claw need heat treats or no?
Does the claw need heat treat? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to heat treat the whole head and then temper it with a drift through the eye so the eye gets really soft. I would guess, I'm assuming this hammer will get use, and when it gets use as a claw, you're prying up on some pretty tough stuff sometimes. So I would say, yeah, you should probably heat treat it. Just make sure it's tempered back pretty well so it doesn't snap.
What's the carbon content of the leaf springs you use?
Leaf springs are generally in the 5160 range, which, depending on the manufacturer, is going to have anywhere, say an average of 6 points of carbon, maybe 6.5 from some manufacturers. There are a lot of people that say leaf springs of 5160 is not a high carbon steel. There are those of us who say it is on the low end of the high carbon steel spectrum. So it's not the best knife making steel, but it's got a lot of chromium in it and other alloys that make it really tough. So if you're making really long blades, choppers, things like that, it's a perfect steel for that. What were you laughing at?
Oh, I was told to ask for a raise.
She gets paid enough.
Does the forge burn up bad gases, or do you have to vent air into the
My
shop?
garage is one of the most porous areas on the planet, so I'm not too worried about it, but in a really well-sealed building, I would make sure I'd be running a carbon monoxide detector or something like that, because yeah, it burns up the oxygen and it puts out carbon monoxide.
Would it be okay to donate tools such as some flea market finds I come across on Forged It Forward?
Absolutely. Pre-made tools that we know, that have had a life and been used and loved and have more life left to them, absolutely, you can donate those. We would love it.
Heath says hello.
Hello, Heath at Shepherd's Forge. Is James at County Line Forge on? James is the hammer guy. He's the one that could tell me what I need to do with this claw. Probably should have asked him before I started on it. I don't know. How's that looking? Does that look like enough? I can bring it that down. I'm going to taper this a little bit. Maybe one more heat. This is what happens when I forge stuff that I don't know. If you ever watch my knife videos and I act like I know what I'm talking about, it's because I forge a lot of knives and I've learned what works, what doesn't for me, and I've got a lot of them under my belt. This is my third hammer ever. My second one, since I started getting a little bit of confidence in my skills, and I'm still making it up as I go along. So this is the fun, though. I have a blast doing this stuff. I just usually don't do it on camera, where I'm second-guessing myself all the time.
How many hammers should a beginning blacksmith have to use?
Should you have to use the hammer that's going to get you out at the forge pounding steel. The more you work at the anvil, the more you're going to find what you like. My first hammer was, it was a 3.5 pound cross peen. That's your typical cross peen, and that was my first hammer, 3.5 pounds. Found it at a flea market. Didn't like it. I'm not a fan of the cross peen just because I don't like having to hit steel like that. It just doesn't work for the way I swing a hammer. My next hammer, it's actually in one of my Jeeps, but it was just a mini sledge from Harbor Freight, and I went to it within probably 2 or 3 weeks of starting to forge. And I dressed the heads, one side round, one side flat, and that was what I did for my hammer. And I used that one for 1.5 years, probably close to 1.5 years before I bought this one from Dave McConnell, which is, a properly made smithing hammer. So for 1.5 years, I was just using a Harbor Freight cheapie, and that's the only hammer I really had. I still had that cross peen, but I never used it. So to answer your question, how many? It could be one. If it's going to get you out at the forge, it only has to be one.
What's the best oil for oil quenching?
The best oil you can get is going to be one of the oils made for quenching. Parks 50, McMaster, Harmon Master, something like that. You know, you'll find them on the knife making supply stores. Some of the steel manufacturers sell it as well. That's going to be the best oil you can get. The best oil you can get that isn't a professional oil, something you may have around the house, I'm going to go with canola oil or something like that. Some people say peanut oil. The least oil, the one that I wouldn't suggest, is any kind of used motor oil or transmission fluid. Now, I did use transmission fluid for a long time because a little old guy I know who makes knives, that's what he used, and I always thought if that's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. But then I learned a little about it, and it is quite dangerous stuff. It's putting off some pretty noxious fumes, and it really doesn't quench the steel fast enough. So canola oil actually quenches it faster than the transmission fluids or the motor oils. So that would be my last resort. That's all I had. I'd use it, but I'd rather go with like the canola oil.
And for everybody just joining, what are you working on?
I am working on a claw hammer. A lady at work asked me to make a claw hammer for her husband in a very rustic style, and I said I would try it. And so I'm working on this. This hammer that I'm doing now is actually just practice, and we're coming up on 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, less than 500 people away from that, and I'm thinking this hammer, if it comes out good, might be my 10,000 subscriber giveaway. We'll see. I don't know. I'm thinking it'll be a hammer, though. The last time around it was a knife.
Do you do stock removal or just forging?
I forge thick, grind thin. So a lot of it is removing the stock that I leave there, but I've never just taken a raw piece of steel. No, I've never taken a file and said I'm going to grind the knife out of this. I will forge it pretty close to shape, and then, you know, there's a lot of stock removal involved in getting it to its final shape, but yeah, I've never just started with a piece of steel and done stock removal.
Okay, this question's not hand-related, but when making tongs, how exactly should it be cooled? Do you let it cool down in a lot before sticking it in water?
Yes. Most of the time. I mean, it's mild steel. You can't really do too much harm to it by, you know, shoving it in water when it's red hot. But I have cracked mild steel by repeated quenches, and I really don't want to do that to my tongs. So I tend to let them cool down at least until they're below critical before I quench them. But, I mean, plenty of people don't with mild steel. Now, if you're using anything else but mild steel, yeah, you're in for a world of hurt if you quench it. If it's this color and you pull it out of the forge and you know you get it going from your riveting and then dunk it in the water, next time, the first time you use those tongs, smacked, and that head could go flying off. Ask me how I know.
What kind of steel are you using?
This is an old axle, which I'm going to assume is a 4140. With axles, you never quite know. I went into that on the last hammer build video because with axles, I mean, you're dealing with auto manufacturers that are taking the lowest bid from a company that's putting this axle together that just fits within certain parameters. So it might be 4140, it could be 1055, 1045, it could be a whole bunch of different steels. Some are water quenched, some are oil quenched. I'm assuming it's 4140 because it was widely used, and if it hardens in the oil, then good enough. I don't need to know if it was 4140 or 5120 or something like that. It hardened in the oil. If it doesn't harden in the oil, I'll harden it in the water and see if it hardens there. But that always makes me nervous because, I mean, even a water quenched steel, you run risk of cracking it. So I'm actually getting hot. I'm going to open this door real quick.
And you're using water, right?
Water.
For this right now.
When I cool off my tongs, I'm using water.
Okay, so what are you gonna use?
But I'm going to use oil to quench it in first because 4140 is an oil quenching steel. So if I quench it in the oil and it hardens, it was 4140 or a close cousin and it's good to go. If I quench it in the oil and it doesn't harden, then I'll heat it back up again and quench it in the water, hoping that it works. But again, that makes me nervous when you go to water. All right, poor man's tong clips, baling wire. So I may waste the heat with this, but what I do, because the tongs are, you know, thicker in the back, I will just wrap this baling wire as tight as I can get it around the tongs, and then slide it back. That usually holds them pretty good.
So here's a trick. Take a piece of square tubing, smacking it into a diamond, and then you have two sides for holding tongs.
That's not a bad thought at all. Who gave that trick?
That is from 308JC on Instagram.
Oh, very nice. Now here's where I'm confused. I have no idea how big to split this claw. You know, how far up towards the eye I need to go. I'm just going to be guessing here. Ow. Alright, I'm going to go heat that back up real quick. Alright, more questions? No more questions?
I'd fuller the groove before splitting all the way, get the angle that the claw hammers have.
That's not a bad idea either. You know what? I'm going with it. Thank you. Who gave me that?
That is from Science Addict 77.
Science Addict 77 coming through in a clutch. There's my fuller. What the heck? All right, so I'm gonna fuller it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Oh, his name's Ryan.
Oh, that's Ryan. All right.
You got a carpenter looking to buy one of those.
One of my claw hammers? I appreciate it, man, but I haven't even made a successful one yet. So let's wait until I got something under my belt to say, hey, look, I'm making you a quality product. I don't want to sell you junk. Like I say, this one is really just a test of your emergency alert system. Oh, did you see where that flew?
Which one?
The one that went flying out of my hand.
Oh, yeah, right here.
All right. Any more questions?
A bunch of heys and hellos.
Hey, hellos. Glad everybody managed to stop by on this last minute kind of. I wasn't sure I was going to do this thing, but my dog was here to offer help. And so here we are, doing our first Instagram live stream and a little bit of a impromptu Facebook, YouTube. Why am I confusing those?
Your Jeep in the background, the blue one.
Yeah.
We've got some questions on that.
Ask away.
That's your CJ7, right?
That is a YJ, the next next model after the CJ.
Do you think you'd be able to get a checker face on a hammer like that, and would it last?
A checker face on a hammer, like Damascus style, or you mean just punching in like a checkered pattern? If you just put a checkered pattern on your hammer face and you hit something with it,
like a framing hammer.
Oh, like a framing hammer. How would you do that? I'd have to grind that in or file it in before I quenched it, and then hopefully when I hardened it, there were no super sharp edges in there that would cause it to crack. It's possible. I don't know if I have enough skills to be the one to try it though.
What year is your Jeep?
My Jeep is a 95, the one in the background there. And then I've got a 1990 Cherokee, which is my daily driver right now, and a 96 Cherokee, which was my original heap of Jeep. That's what my channel's named after, and it's parked out there, falling apart, all rusted away.
And we've got Mom 3 Grandma 1 from Texas saying hello, and she's listening.
Hello! Welcome from Texas. People from Texas know what it means when I say all y'all. They know what all y'all is. People from North Carolina don't.
Can you elaborate wedge, please?
Wedge?
Yep.
On a Jeep or on a...
I'm gonna assume on your forging here.
I don't know. Is that what Ryan asked about? Was fullering in the wedge? And that's just to get a channel, a groove, because when you're doing the claw hammer, you know, you want it to be able to go around the nail and grab the head of it. So, is that what he's making reference to? I don't remember.
Oh, nope, it wasn't even for you. It was for Adam. It's Kathy and Kevin from Texas.
Kathy and Kevin. Kathy and Kevin from the radio station? See how cold that is now? I tend to do that a lot, especially when I'm punching and chiseling and trying to get through stuff, because in my head I'm thinking, just one more hit and it'll split. But no, don't work it too cold.
It's from the radio station, yes.
All right, Kathy and Kevin, I haven't heard from you guys in forever. They're listeners to me at work on the radio station. And they found me on YouTube, I take it? Or Instagram?
Instagram.
Oh, very nice. Hi, Kathy and Kevin. That's cool. So much for anonymity and keeping them separate.
One person said earlier, it's just all the forms of social media.
I'm trying. Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about them. I can barely keep my Facebook page running. My daughter is pretty much in charge of my Instagram account, so she's the one who makes sure the pictures get up there and stuff. YouTube, I sort of have figured out, only because I've been doing it since I started working on Jeep videos what, 5, 6 years ago now. It's been a while, so that's the only reason I know anything about YouTube.
Shepherd's Forge. I paused second episode of Forged in Fire to watch you, Jason. You were high in my world.
Well, thank you, man. If you're talking about the one from last night, holy smokes, was that painful to watch. I was actually going to watch it again before I came out here, just because I figure, as I was watching it last night, I mean, I was just cringing, and I figure it couldn't have been that bad. I must be remembering wrong, and so I was going to watch it again. Not bad. I mean, the production of it was great, but all the rookies, I'm actually worried. I mean, some of those guys, I started forging right before that show came on the air, probably, 3, 4, 5 months before.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert for everybody who hasn't seen it yet.
I'm not telling you who won because I don't know. I quit watching it. But I started before the show started, and I didn't take making knives real seriously until probably 6 months to a year after it started. So I look at it as, and I tell people, I've only been seriously making knives for about 3 years. And I was watching some of these guys last night who, we've been making knives for 3 years. And I hope that when people watch this show, they don't look at me and hear 3 years and think that I'm turning out what they turned out. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Do you think layering and forge welding circular saw blades would yield a decent material?
Circular saw blades you have to be real careful on. You don't know what steel they're made of. If you do a tempering test or quenching and tempering test to make sure that it's hardenable steel, it might serve you just fine. But a lot of the circular saw blades nowadays especially have carbide teeth. And if you try to forge those, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. And so is your hammer face and your anvil face. And you're probably going to do a lot more damage that might not justify trying to use a saw blade. So now some of them are okay steel. Some of them might be worth trying to see what you get. I quit worrying about them myself and have every circular saw blade I get nowadays, I turn into a bowl. I just dish them out and throw them on my table at the craft shows and sell them as a bowl. So I think I'm getting pretty close. I don't know how much bigger that claw has to be. Maybe a little bit. So if the saw blade does have carbide teeth, just make sure you remove any of that before you try smacking it with your hammer, or you are going to be marking up that face like there's no tomorrow. And you might be shooting all kinds of nasty stuff through the air when it explodes. It basically explodes. Acts like it explodes. There we go. We're in the home stretch of getting this forged. I'm excited. Y'all excited? I'm excited. I'm cool with that. Alright, so let me just create these little claws, and then the forging part of this will be done. Lesson number 1 in the blacksmith shop: if something's hot, drop it. And everything in the blacksmith shop is hot.
Oh, this thing is falling.
So I'm actually moving to a smaller hammer to do the final shaping on this.
Okay, galvanized is toxic when the zinc coating is heated and releases gas, correct?
Correct. So, oh yes, it will kill you.
Could a cold form galvanize or possibly use a little heat?
Alright, I didn't understand it. Maybe... What's the question? Could cold form what?
So could I cold form galvanized or possibly use a little heat?
You can cold form it, sure. The amount of heat you use is fine right up until that zinc starts burning off. And it's a pretty high temperature where it burns off, but any forge worth its salt will get there. So I would not heat it up in a forge. Maybe with like one of those little handheld, propane torch. That probably wouldn't get it hot enough to burn the zinc. I say probably, I'm not positive. I don't like messing with this stuff. But when I do have to use it for something, I soak it in muriatic acid, or drain cleaner basically, to get the zinc coating off it. I do that with like any bolts I buy that have a chrome coating or the zinc coating on it. Because I'll do that. I'll take the square head bolts, and put some hammer marks in them because I want them to look.
Or use vinegar.
Vinegar, or anything acid. I use muriatic acid because it takes almost no time. Vinegar, you probably want to leave it to soak overnight at least. But anything acid will eat that stuff. Huh.
Here's your up close.
There's your up close.
Instagram.
I don't like that. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Not that. Maybe that. Normally I'd take this and go put it in my bench vise, the post vise, and do it over there while that's holding it and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff in the way between here and there, so I'm just going to try doing this at the anvil, which is like doing some fine of those tines and whatnot, but we'll see if it works. This is where I do wish I had a third hand.
There's so many kinds of the snow.
Only 3.
All right.
So. That's all right. You 3 people. Damn, you got to see the hammer at the end.
And 3 on the Insta.
And 3 on the Insta. You 6 people, my die-hard fans. That's it. That was the lady right there. That was it, my friends.
Everybody on YouTube, we had technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It just kind of closed and all on its own. And blame Steve Jobs or Steve Cook or whoever's running that company these days. Yeah, what a... I think you hit a button. That's what I think.
Sure I didn't, but okay. Oh, whatever, guys.
They're giving you flack.
Yeah.
Good, good. Huh. You know what? I think. Well, this is still hot. Even though I haven't ground it yet. That's backwards. Crap, I can't do it left-handed. Here, hold it. You can't.
Go get the other daughter.
It'll be too cold by then. We're gonna try it. Left-handed. Ah! Dang it. Alright, if I do give this away, you're dealing with a bit of a touchy touch mark. If I don't give it away, no one will ever know, right? Because there's only 6 people watching. Yay!
Well, a few more now. Let's see. That's because we're doing YouTube on an iPhone and Insta on an Android, so we can talk about quality issues in a separate video.
Who's giving flack?
Nobody. Just saying.
All right, here we are, my friends. That's gonna end the forging session for today. Not too bad, actually. It actually came out a lot better than I thought. If you want to see how we got to the part where I started this video, that's on the G2 tool review video, which is for Patreon right now, and I think 2 more days it'll be up on the regular YouTube. But I don't really go into details because this was a first time. So maybe I'll do a build video on them because I gotta harden it, I gotta grind it, harden it, handle it, and then test it to see if I actually did it right and all that. So that will be, who knows, in the future. So
how much do you think it might weigh?
That's a heck of a question. He says holding the tongs that probably weigh about 1.5 pounds. I'm guessing it weighs about 1.5 pounds. I don't know. It's too hot for me to pick up right now. I did not do a weighing to begin with, so this hammerhead is right about 2 pounds. It's quite a bit less steel, so I'm gonna guess probably 20 ounces at most. You know, just over 1 pound, 1.25 pounds, something like that is a guess. But once it cools off, I can go throw it on the scale, and if anybody really wants to know, they can track me down and ask me. So I think that's gonna be it for the videos, unless anyone has any last minute questions. Last minute questions? Anyone? Bueller?
County Line Forge says, you can't leave, I just got here.
Hi, James. Bye, James. Good to see you. Here, show him the hammer.
Oh,
Get his
okay.
opinion. Where were you when I needed the help, man? I was flying blind on this claw. I think I did it all right.
Steels for making woodworking chisels.
Steels for making woodworking chisels. Anything high carbon with for woodworking, because you might be smacking it with a mallet. I wouldn't want to go you know, I do the chisel out of like 4140 and then put like a really high carbon bit in it, like an 01 or something like that, and forge weld that in for the cutting edge. But the chisel itself, I'd probably want to be a little more forgiving, because you know you might be whacking that with a mallet and stuff. So that would be what I'd suggest. But I'm not a tool expert. Anything else?
No, it's pretty wrapped up, I think.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And thanks everyone for coming by on just kind of an impromptu live feed of.
Oh, James wants to see the hammer again.
Oh, okay. He's on YouTube?
YouTube, yep.
So, yeah, I was flying blind on the claw, man. I hope I got it at the right angle. I hope I got it split apart enough. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I guess I could have gone and grabbed a claw hammer of my own to compare, but
he likes it.
What the heck? I mean, that's not what I do. I make it up as I go along. So I made it up as I went along, and hopefully it'll work. So there we go. Anyone else? Questions, comments, stories of interest, strange and quirky anecdotes? Now's the time. Nothing. Happy Pi Day, everybody. 3.14. March 14th, Pi Day. Huh? Nothing? All right. That's going to do it, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.